What a day this has been. Been fantastic. We said it was Esports 101. We have all learned a great deal. Experts as well as initiates alike on this. Students receiving academic credit from USF for attending this. And those of you that have traveled from throughout the United States. Hope you've gotten a great deal out of this. Our final panel is on the future of esports here in the Greater Bay Area. You had heard earlier both Matt Samos and Jeff Vinik talk about Patrick Abts, the Director of Social Media with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's going to be on this panel. Michelle Harrolle, the Director of the Vinik Sport and Entertainment Management Program, Marcus Howard, and Derek Watford, the High Point Gamer. All, of course, moderated by Alex Muellner, the editor of the Tampa Bay Sports Journal. She will moderate this. Alexis will, on attracting future events and how we can continue to grow the economics of gaming. Would you please welcome Alexis Muellner and our panel.
Hi, everybody. We are standing between you and cocktails and more networking. I don't have Red Bull for you all, but I wish I did. But we have a great panel here today. How's everybody doing? Yeah, good. It's good to see you here today. We don't have a ton of time, so we have a lot of ground to cover, so I'd like to get right into it. And what I'd like you guys to do is let's go through each one of you and have you introduce yourselves and set some context for your involvement with esports. Derek, you want to start?
So I'm Derek Watford, founder of High Point Gamer, the premier esports consultant for the Central Florida area. We help gamers, brands, and organizations that are trying to be successful in this space, be successful in this space, because even from the gamer side, most of them don't know how to maximize the opportunity that they're given. And then from the brand side, they want more than just having their logo on something. They want something that's more authentic. And then for organizations like universities, they want to implement programs, but they don't know where to start or how to find the expertise to help them be a success in this space.
And Derek, you're working with younger gamers, right? I mean, you're helping with brand building and all that kind of
Yes.
stuff, right? Okay.
All right, I'm Marcus Howard, the CEO of ProjectMQ. I actually wear two hats, the CEO of ProjectMQ and the president of the Tampa Association of Gaming. So ProjectMQ helps gamers find amazing video games that are indie games, just like Rocket League was when it started, League of Legends, Clash of Clans, PUBG. And then with the Tampa Association of Gaming, we're a nonprofit dedicated to growing the gaming industry and STEM youth programs in the Tampa Bay region.
And your nickname is Blockchain.
My nickname is also Blockchain. You can find me on LinkedIn, Marcus Blockchain Howard.
And just quickly, the story about how you became Blockchain. Let's see, okay.
I got Super Mario Brothers 3 when I was 6. I was Super Mario Brothers. And I learned at 6 that all video games have digital items and digital currencies. And so Bitcoin is just another virtual currency. And so now what I do is I understand that with 2.7 billion gamers worldwide and a $140 billion market, that's going to grow another $40 billion in 18 months. The gaming industry is how blockchain's going to go mainstream.
And just quickly, this is not your day job.
No, this is my second job. My day job, I'm a programmer for a multinational steel company.
Nothing. Which business journal covers. So this context is not really relevant.
I wear all the hats. So yeah.
Thoroughly.
Yeah, so Patrick Abts, I'm with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Myself and Matt Samos, who was up on the stage earlier, kind of last year started our initial efforts on the Lightning side into gaming and esports. We conducted a tournament kind of in conjunction with the NHL we called the Bull Shell Challenge. We had a lot of help from people around the community, Rare Drop, I think they had represented as well earlier, and some local influencers. And so this year we are actually going to be kind of moving into a new venture as it relates to that. So Matt and I are leading those efforts internally, as well as one new staff member, Jeremiah, who we were able to bring on this off-season.
And those of you who have the Business Journal on your phones or get our emails at 3 o'clock, we were able to post a story about Bolt's gaming series. So you can go online right now and read that. It's really newsworthy. You have some exciting news about this. This is really a, so talk about everything.
Yeah, I didn't want to like jump the gun there. so you had a question. So,
I jumped the gun.
So yeah, we're actually going to be doing what we're calling a Bolts Gaming series. The Bolts Gaming series this season, it's going to culminate in the Bolts Gamer of the Year. It's going to be a monthly tournament every single month of the Lightning season, October through April. We're going to change the game every single month to try to reach new people. We're focusing on cross-platform games, more family-friendly games, kind of to tie into the Lightning brand. We are a more family-friendly brand, so we're going to kind of avoid Bloodsport, things like that. Kind of more shooting games. But we're really excited about it. We're going to have more news coming October, kind of some more intimate details on it. But we are looking to launch that come October 2nd. So October 2nd, when we go full launch with registration and whatnot, there'll be a lot more details out there about pricing, sponsors we have on the program. We're really excited about a pretty good endemic kind of gaming sponsor that's going to be a part of it. And we're really excited for what it entails.
I think we can get into a little more of the detail about that because I think you're in a time where you can really chart some of your own course. You're not necessarily beholden to the NHL in a formulaic way. And really, this panel is really about sort of how Tampa Bay really bringing you back to localism, embracing esports. And Michelle, obviously, we're all here today because of a lot of your efforts, but I think what we see in this incredible event is that we are embracing it. So talk a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I am here today because this is exactly what I envisioned. A group of students, professionals, industry coming together to talk about esports and the business of it, and starting off with Education 101 and then diving down a little bit deeper, getting to hear from Mr. Vinik, getting to hear Patrick's good news, help me out there, Pat. And so this is exactly why we're here, and so I would like to say thank you for coming, thank you for staying. And I hope that throughout this event you've really learned a lot.
Everybody learning a lot. A big hand for Michelle and her team. Let's really focus on what we're here to talk about, which is how is this community embracing esports? And you're all a big part of that. 2 years ago at our Business of Sports event, we were able to find Alex who we just met, but I had a really hard time finding local folks who were doing esports. It's come a long way. So why don't we, let's delve into that and steps. Where are we? I mean, obviously today's a good example, but where are we at? I mean, Derek, what's your sense? I mean, there's been a lot of evolution, but still a lot to go.
So I've been at it for 4 years, and I can definitely say the Tampa area has grown the interest in esports. When I first was going to schools and I was trying to say, hey, there's this thing, esports, it's good for the community, it's good for kids, it's good for economic empowerment. And as soon as I say what esports is and they hear video games and everything, and the room would go silent. So now when you hear esports, like, yeah, I know esports is. So I definitely see it growing in the market.
We don't have to go sort of, but Mark, I mean, this has been a passionate thing for you, and you're really active in evolving the Tampa Bay identity of esports.
Yeah, I think not most important, but one of the more important things happening is that schools are starting to get behind gaming. You see the Junior Achievement of Tampa Bay last summer, they added a video game component to their STEM camp because they understand that that's how kids learn. So now we use that kind of as a segue to include gaming and esports into both middle school and high school.
Michelle, let's come to you real quick because I think when you and I talked ahead of this event, the gaming club here at USF was what?
Right, so 2 years ago it was about 600, now they're up to I think 1,500s and only growing from there. Somebody actually sent me an article recently talking about how high schools, 70% in the area are actually looking at developing esports. That is a huge stat. 70% of our high schools are considering esports, and so I think it's really important for everyone to understand the business aspect, the careers, what benefits it provides along the way.
Right, and Pat, I mean, for you, the decision making, I mean, you got passed in a kind of a funny story. I mean, talk a little bit about how you guys internally decided to go this route.
Yeah, so luckily, Mr. Vinik and the organization I work for in the Lightning, we kind of get a lot of opportunity internally to put forth ideas, innovation. I know it's kind of a buzzword and whatnot, but we live by it. We are allowed to put forth new ideas all the time. Gaming was one of those things that the NHL actually came a couple years ago to all the clubs, and all 30 clubs at the time, now 31, and basically said this is a long-term initiative us and the NHL are looking into. different than some other leagues like 2K and whatnot, they decided that we're going to go a little bit more smaller scale, more 1v1 tournaments. With regards to EA, there wasn't necessarily the development buy-in to kind of make that team-based play important. So this last season, when we conducted our 1v1 tournament, we actually went a little bit outside of the local, because I don't know if we're as widely global as some sports brands, but we do have a global fan base. And so we decided to, open that up internationally. That tournament, it was pretty eye-opening. We found that, there was a really passionate NHL the game fan base of esports players, but it was relatively small. So the thing we're doing this year is really trying to, with this multi-gaming series, is to reach the community on a bit more local level and reach out to them in playing the games that they are. So I was talking up in the green room earlier, I was just kind of saying to Derek, for us, if we get even a few casual fans, people that, maybe had no interest in liking whatsoever beforehand, but we're playing the game that they play all the time, and they see one of our players playing that game on the stream, something of that nature, and we even get a casual fan out of it, that's a win for us. We're not necessarily looking to make those hardcore, die-hard fans on this process. If we can get that first connection to our brand, our organization, then we have a lot of other means to try to kind of grow that fandom. So for us, this is really just trying to reach gamers in their natural, kind of authentic habitat, so to speak. And I'm a gamer myself. I may not be the one that's following Twitch streams all the time and whatnot. Luckily, we have Jeremiah on our staff to kind of help us with that front. But I think it's really exciting to be kind of being involved in that community and on a more local level here with our multi-gaming series this year, as opposed to what the league's doing on a more international, national level.
Also, esports is brand building. I'm sure you all have thoughts.
Right, I'd like to add on to that, Pat. So what was really interesting is the intersection between traditional sports and esports. So for example, our students did first PGA Tour activation of esports at Valspar this past season. And we had professional baseball players in love with the gamers. I mean, in love. We're following them like fans at a Justin Bieber concert, and wanted to play with the professional gamers. And these are professional baseball players. One of them, I will not tell you who, in secret said, if I could be a professional e-gamer and not a professional baseball player, I would have.
You guys have thoughts to add to this?
Why wouldn't it?
Well, and Derek, you're in the involved with sort of developing talent. It reminds me a little bit about sort of the illusions of grandeur that young people have to being in professional sports. I think we're dealing with some of these issues about skills gap and a talent pool. I know both of you guys are actively involved in that.
So one of the lessons I learned from the NBA 2K League when they initially started up was NBA is familiar with having a pipeline for professional athletes, meaning that you come from high school, you go to college, and then now you're on a professional team. And that whole process, you're kind of used to the system of being a part of the system. When they started the 2K League, you're actually taking a gamer straight from the couch and now putting him in a professional setting, and he's not used to the process. So now you have to get him indoctrinated on how to brand build, business development, even living in a house amongst 7 other people that they weren't used to. And so that created a lot of challenges where professional gamers were getting the opportunity where they're not getting the salary, but yet they don't know how to maximize the opportunities to its fullest other than being good video game players. And so that was a challenge that we saw that, hey, let's help them solve this, because we don't want you to be a one and done and you're burned out because you blew the opportunity because you didn't know what to do with it.
And it's not only the players, you have all this other potential career options related to broadcast, production, to influencers. And that's been a part of this as well, because some of the influencers have had to deal with trolls.
Yes, I always say that the gaming community was the original social media, meaning that you get online in a headset, somebody's probably cursing you out or saying you suck, right. So the opportunities available because of esports support so many different layers of career opportunities other than just playing the game, and that's an important part.
Yeah, I think you want to look again to the larger gaming ecosystem. It's not just esports, but esports is part of gaming. You have game development, you have the live streaming, you have the shoutcasting, you have everything that goes into traditional sports is now in esports. So that's when we bring that into Tampa, we create all of those jobs and all of that revenue and growth.
Yeah, And really quick to that, I mean, for us, it was really eye-opening too to see when we kind of started talking about this initiative internally. We got a lot of people raising their hands kind of in the room saying, we want to get involved, like there's people that have experience. We had, folk, unbeknownst to me, a former League of Legends professional esports player that was in our IT staff. And he was like, I absolutely want to get involved. This is like more fun than my day-to-day. So, it's really awesome to kind of have those opportunities internally for people. And then we've already created, one job out of it, continue growing. And, I think it long-term can definitely be another aspect of our business.
Well, and just to be clear, your boss, obviously, Jeff, who was here earlier, is responsible for making your program a reality. His investment in esports has not to do with the program that Gold's Champ, right?
No, it doesn't, not directly in any way, but through those relationships, we're definitely looking to hopefully get some Team Liquid players and things like that on streams, along with hard players, along with the influencers with Rare Drop that we've kind of already connected with, and we'll be conducting some of those streams throughout the season. So I think there's opportunity there, but it's definitely completely separate ventures.
So earlier in the year, if you follow the Business Journal, I read a cover story about college esports. Florida Southern has a Division II program that's pretty evolved, and it was coming from the standpoint with our Business Journal lens about workforce and skills gap. Let's talk about that a little bit. I think for you, your son, then 8, right, said, Mom, I want to be a professional gamer, and your reaction was?
So he's in the back of the car and he goes, Mama, I want to be a professional gamer. I paused. I was like, well, are you any good? I was like, I saw it as, well, absolutely, if you're good, I'm sure eventually there will be this entire professional business, an industry that you can be a part of. He said, yes. I said, not compared to your other 8-year-old friends, but compared to other people. So right now he's actually doing more content generation versus like competitive gameplay. But yeah, that's the impetus. But there's no education out there. I mean, these summits and the reality is these universities are slowly adapting.
Right, early learning for gamers or game industry is still evolving, right?
And that's a lot of the work that is a part of the portfolio of what Derek does is teaching different organizations, whether they be brands or universities or grade school programs, what is esports and how can I get my children involved?
Right, because there's the stigma that you mentioned earlier, because the minute you mentioned it, I was like, I'm gonna play video games, really? I mean, how can I get advanced there? But there's so much dexterity and mind development, I'm sure, as well.
And also the social inclusion, diversity, economic empowerment, teamwork, coping skills, like a lot of those things that we value traditional sports for, you're able to use gaming for those same benefits.
Right, and so raise your hand if you have a niece, nephew, child that plays video games. Okay, yeah. All right, and they are on their headsets talking to all their friends. Exactly. The sense of community that they have is the same sense of community that we had growing up. It's just in a different format and a different place. And that, I think, is the education that we need to pass along.
What I learned about your son is that he's become an influencer, right?
I wouldn't go so far. He's trying. He's an avid rock climber, and his rock climbing videos gets more views than his streaming, but he's working on it.
Not bad for 11. Right.
I was just gonna say, I mean, with the proliferation of social media, so many other forms of media too, like, funny enough, I literally just this morning came from kind of like a youth marketing summit, and it's pretty obvious, but I mean, there's a big difference between I'm not that old, I'd like to say, I'd like to think at least, but from when I was growing up versus, I had, Facebook, Twitter, and whatnot, like starting in college, and now kids are doing it from the day that they, 5, 6 years old, they're getting phones and, things of that nature. And so gaming is just kind of an extension of that, so to speak, that way to communicate with friends, whatnot. It's a completely different landscape than when I was gaming as a child, where there might have been more of a stigma to it. Like, that stigma doesn't really exist nowadays at all about gaming. So.
Yeah, and I think the gaming is actually a universal language, right? So now it exists beyond age and gender and even geographic regions. You can be playing video games with somebody who lives in China, right? But you're all enjoying the same experience.
Yeah, so I'd like to contradict you a little bit. As someone in the gaming world, the stigma is there. Now, everyone here is all pumped and excited about esports. You came here for a reason. But when you talk to executives at other institutions, And anyone, not to do ageism, but anyone over the age of 35, 40, they're a lot more skeptical. So I was at a professional team, Northeast, will not tell you the team, and we had this conversation, and he was like, esports, you know, so that whole attitude is still there.
Well, and to be clear, I meant more between kids. Like when I was a kid, there might have been other kids being like, oh, gaming's like nerdy or whatnot. Like that stigma, I feel like, has decreased significantly. And so I meant more between kids. So
I will go with that.
Yeah, so one thing that I've learned when I first started putting on tournaments is that even though gaming is inclusive and anyone can play the game and it's diverse, there's still a digital divide that has a lot of communities not able to benefit from the opportunities available from gaming. They can't create content, they can't stream, they can't compete, they can't get online and connect with people outside of their community because they're missing the resources, whether they don't have high-speed internet at the house all the time, whether they don't have the computers, or whether they can't buy the game. So I know in the esports world, we like to tout that, oh yeah, it's inclusive and it's great for everyone, but yet there's still this community that has no idea that opportunity is available for them to benefit from.
That's one of the reasons we support the Junior Achievement of Tampa Bay is they actually directly support kids from low-income communities to give them access to those resources and those opportunities.
No, I want to nod my head and say absolutely. I think that's a big issue that we have is access for everyone.
I think it's worth exploring that a little bit because what are some steps can we brainstorm a little creatively about how to really achieve that inclusivity? What are some ways that can happen?
Well, it's because the internet is mainly the main barrier of entry for those in low economic areas. I said somebody can set up a hub where, same thing when you go to a hotel, everybody's on the same internet, you type in your phone number, whatever, you have access. You can do that in these communities that are grouped together where to give them that access to high-speed internet. And that be sponsored by somebody. Every time you go to the login page, you see the logo, like, okay, thank you, T-Mobile, for giving me internet.
And it's also creating access for younger people. I mean, when you wanted to get your son into summer camp, there was nothing.
Right, and there's still nothing. 3 years ago, I looked, zero. Now you could learn about how to be a programmer, you can learn how to build the games, build apps, which he could care less about. And even now, 3 years later, there's 3 of them. One's in Japan, one's in a Scandinavian country, and then one is in North Carolina, but it's more camps.
And so obviously there's a big need and opportunity and all of that for sure. Where, as we get to the wind up somewhat, where is the opportunity for Tampa Bay, for you as leaders, to really set the identity? And you know, where do you think the biggest opportunity lies, business to business? Certainly where the business world is coming from. You know, what opportunities are there for the folks here to really take advantage of the momentum that we're building here today?
Wow. I think because Tampa is a great market where we have an international airport, we have Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we have the Lightning, we're an hour from Orlando, 4 hours from Miami. Like we have the ecosystem to support it if we just all work together in order to make it a community effort. It's not a thing of, is esports valuable? Is it something we should do? But it is. So how do we do it and make it popular and make it get the benefits from it?
Marcus, if you look at the top 100 cities for gaming and esports, we're ranked 34th. The ones that are in the top 5 and top 10 have either esports task force or tax credits for businesses to encourage them to come to the city or state where the city is located. We need more of that from the larger ecosystem to support what the brands are doing in the area.
Well, so how do we get there? What's the charge, the marching orders for everybody in this room? I know these are tough questions. That's why I'm here.
Well, I appreciate, first of all, the fact you're here today is step one, right? Getting educated, meeting other people in the space. I think part of it is Derek and I met less than a year ago, right? And making those and building those networks and connections is huge. Even across USF, right? There's pockets of people all over. I got an email from a professor who was trying to do esports gaming where you only use your brain. How cool is that? How cool is that? But he didn't know anything about me. I didn't know anything about him until we put on this summit. And so making those connections, I think, is probably step one.
Any other thoughts? Yeah.
Well, I mean, another thing I'd say is like you being here, if you have an interest in this, there's a lot of people within the city, within the community that I think thinking about this and exploring the options. So, you know, I know the Tampa Sports Commission, for example, they bring large-scale events to this area all the time. Super Bowl, WWE, WrestleMania, all sorts of other things. I mean, they've had conversations with us. They're looking into things, but there's that need to kind of like organize and kind of make your voice heard. So if you have the interest in, you know, these types of things, if you have a community already, whether it's close-knit or kind of even wider ranging, like there's a lot of opportunity, but I think it's a little bit ill-defined in the space. And frankly, that's because I think a lot of the people, to your point earlier, executives, businesses, things like that, don't have that understanding yet of how to, you know, monetize it, how to bring things in at larger scale events. And so I think that, you know, kind of making that voice heard and showing that interest could be a huge help to a lot of those instances.
I don't want to speak for the Sports Commission. They really wanted to be here, and we're very upset. They really wanted to be here, but they are doing the bidding process for major events. So clearly, you know, Esports Summit, get more events to Tampa. Sadly, we did not win out on that, but they are trying really hard. And part of the problem is when they try to get events, the people that, when they send out RFPs and try to get information, those that are actually in the esports space don't understand what the sports commissions have to do and don't get the revenue perspective very well. So it goes both sides.
Well, the business press has a role. You know, we're involved by putting some investment behind and sponsoring here today, both the Tampa Bay Business Journal and Tampa Bay Inno. Our team is in the back. You guys raise your hands. Lauren Coffey, who is our Inno person, Lauren, just raise your hand. So we're super committed to covering technology and startups and making those connections for you, because that's what our value proposition is all about. So I think it's all these things, right? Well, what do you think we would take for questions?
Sure.
Is there anything that we're missing that you guys want to talk about before we open it up?
I think it's great if we can get a fund together to invest in startups that are in the gaming and esports ecosystem. We've had 2 startups here in Florida. One was from the Tampa Bay Wave that went to New York because the funding wasn't available here. Another right now is in London pitching investors from Central Florida because the support there on the financial side is just not what they need to scale.
So supporting those startups for sure.
Right, financial support for those startups.
Yeah, I think we have a good track record of that. I saw a hand up right here. Tell us who you are. What's your question? I'm going to repeat the question because it's hard to hear. Sports gaming is growing, and you're asking whether or not the gambling can that grow?
So, yes. So when they lifted that, where you're able to do sports, I was like, esports is going to be right up there next to capitalize on that. And then that opens up to a whole different demographic that probably wouldn't have paid attention to gaming, but now that they're able to make some additional revenue off of gambling with esports, yes, for sure.
I'd like to add to that. So each state is doing gambling differently, right? So New Jersey is actually doing it very well in terms of sports betting. And each state will be doing it differently based on the laws they have. So what I think you're going to see is certain states are going to do it better than others. And hopefully Florida does a good job when the legislature and the government and the governor connects with all the constituents, that they do a good job and they set the law so that we can have sports betting associated with esports. But it's state by state.
That's a great question. Other questions? It's a great panel. Somebody. All right, right here in the back. Tell us your question.
My name is Joel Sylvain again. My question is, from a press perspective, I think a lot of times Tampa does not get a lot of publicity and press on how well we are doing, right? Is there any way that folks in the audience can contribute to like a Tampa Bay Business Journal in terms of their excitement about esports and being able to kind of give them some highlights, or even some of the folks in the panel where you have your own particular niche?
Well, no, thank you for asking that question. You know, we're an open news organization. We believe in developing relationships and sources and being on top of what's happening and really driving that discussion, as evidenced by this panel here today. So I'd like to think that we're accessible and open, and so by all means, you're welcome to reach out to me or my staff. All of us are really, that's really the lifeblood, is making new relationships and not assuming we know it all. And I think that's what you're talking about, is just really entertaining new ideas and ways to talk about that kind of enthusiasm. And as you guys have talked about, as these things evolve, we want to be on top of that and be reporting on it. So just communicate.
Right, and I think too, to your point, when initiatives like the one that Patrick was talking about with Bolts Gaming, once those are successful and then it gets pushed out across the NHL, that will help as well.
And Michelle, where's the USF program going? I mean, are you obviously formalizing something on a competitive level as well?
So we are trying to figure that out right now. From a business perspective, from an education perspective, we are entrenched, right? We have the summit, we're gonna have an esports course in the spring where we actually have tournaments hosted here in the atrium. The dean is actually very excited about it, which is awesome. Glad he was here today. So that when we use the board, he'll be happy with that. But from the university, right now it's difficult because every university does it differently. There's no NCAA. There's very little in terms of trying to figure out who's responsible for it. But everyone's interested, just trying to figure out who's going to lead that initiative. And I think with the new president, who believes in innovation, believes in those types of initiatives, that we will get some ground in that.
On the note of USF and esports, if you're going to have trouble reading your notes later, they are selling the Business of Esports book in the back. It basically covers the entire ecosystem end to end.
I do owe him $20 later for that. Thank you.
I was going to try to get you to plug. Yeah, no, that was great.
For me.
Michelle just wrote a blog. Want to talk about it?
So Dr. Wells and I have edited a book about the business of esports, and one of the things that we recognized when we were doing our research 3 years ago, last year, this year, there's just not a lot of information about the basics, right? Understanding the difference between traditional sports and esports, and that's one of the things that the book does, is it provides a lens for everyone who understands traditional sports and gives you a perspective of how it relates to esports.
Great, it's available here in the back.
It is.
Okay.
Our
Right.
wonderful look. Stand back there, we'll help you out.
The shameless plug portion of the program is over. But not shameless. Congratulations. It's
Thank
really
you.
great.
It's a big deal.
Other questions? We've got a couple more minutes for questions. Right here.
Do you know any local, my name is Butler. I'm curious on any potential investments on like medium-sized venues for esports teams to perform in Tampa.
So the question is about venues. Are you guys saying, is there the development of actual venues specifically geared towards esports? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly.
So
The infrastructure in place.
I've heard lots of people talk about it,
Yeah.
right? Like, so I've met a couple gentlemen today who are really interested in that space, but I don't know anyone doing any groundbreaking yet.
Yeah, because that's like a major issue. But
It is. Well, and too, Mr. Vinik talked to me earlier about it and just said, it can't be a huge venue, right? And CEO Alex talked earlier about it. It's got to be local. It's got to be small. You have to build. You can't start with a 20,000 venue and expect to fill it. And so I think that's part of the challenge.
We've also had some real estate developers connecting with us on LinkedIn, talking about what are opportunities with retail around esports. And I believe there's a law firm here that also has an expert in retail law and how that could potentially apply to gaming. So if you're doing some networking here after this panel, there's a great
Until we say who the firm is.
I can't remember names, but he's Nick's colleague from Carlton Fields.
There you go.
Raise your hand, Nick.
Carlton Fields on top of it. They're often on top of current trends. I mean, the venue issue. Full Sail has a venue, right? Is that true? Right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, we're their venue. I didn't talk about it much, but we are going to do our NHL tournament again this coming year, and we're in talks with them. It's not official yet, but we're looking to conduct our finals there at their esports.
And the challenge that you did last year was built up to between periods, and then you had a final event in Washington because you worked with Monumental out of Washington.
Yeah, we worked with Monumental, which was great because they had a lot more direct experience because of 2K league and whatnot. So, but this year we're going to keep it more local. The NHL just expanded our marketing rights to 75 miles, so Winter Haven, where Full Sail is, falls within that. But yeah, obviously anything that USF's doing too, we want to be tied into any of that as well. So.
There's a lot of potential with that venue and small intimate venues as well. All right, maybe one more question. Anybody?
I just got one. It's kind of linked that following up on the concept of it's not worth money on the arena. What about the time again we work out with the video game club as far as running larger and larger, trying to build that grassroots campaign that follows? What about some kind of industry renovation, a little bit of work to try and exclude most of those events, like the dream packs? If maybe something big does come around, you can post it out of it or something like that. Is there any chance of looking towards that? We're already getting size smaller.
Here on campus, or just some other venue, just to upgrade or retrofit?
So, I mean, there's been talks. I mean, there's like, to be very clear, like the lighting specifically is not tied into the development downtown and whatnot. But there's been talks and whatnot about, you know, potential for, you know, a venue that is multi-purpose. So they could potentially host things like that. So there's no definitive plans, like Dr. Harrolle said, there's no groundbreaking or anything of that nature, but I know it's being talked about, and you know, esports is being a part of that potentially. But like she said, there's no definitive plan yet. But at the same time, I think there is a lot of opportunity for the different hotels that are being built downtown, like the convention center itself, other things to try to kind of conduct some of those events with, like you just said, with potential renovations, with infrastructure changes and things of that nature.
Single Paris, where I grew up here, I lived on campus, and the idea was to try to keep on campus. We don't want to take it. We want to keep it good. That's the only kind of.
Right. I think part of the biggest problem is funding. Right. It requires so much in terms of the technology upgrades, and to stay current with that, that is probably the biggest hurdle. And then operation costs. And obviously, funding is the biggest issue.
And yet again, it illustrates the potential career paths in design, architecture, production design. Maybe there's some great connection. It could all be designed here, and that's part of our market, right? Is that a good point to leave this discussion? All right, let's have a big hand. Oh, we have one more question? Oh my goodness, burning heart. You're the last one. What is it?
So we did a scholarship gaming tournament for Pinellas County High Schools, and one day I'll share the story on how challenging that was to do, even with money in hand. We're repeating that same scholarship tournament at the Tampa Bay Black Heritage Festival in January, and we're also doing a service member appreciation tournament because I'm a veteran, and I realized that when I'm deployed or was deployed, gaming was a big I guess release for all of us, where you spend the day out there risking your life, and to come home and to relax, we're sitting around playing a console while we're cleaning our weapons. So I definitely know that gaming is actually a big proponent for mental health, especially in the veteran community.
That's a good point, Lamar. Let's have a big hand for this great panel.